Alrighty, people. You have finally made it to the moment you have been waiting for. You bought your hook, you bought the yarn, you bought your needles, and you've got your scissors ready, and you've got your chain markers ready. So you're ready to do this. You've got a tape measurer just in case for when you get serious. But yeah, you're ready to go. Now it's time for me to teach you what you're gonna do. Let's get into it. Alrighty, let's go over the first thing that you're gonna need. For every crochet project, you need to know how to tie a slip knot with your yarn. Now, I'm gonna show you how to tie it and not to tie it. I only know how to tie it one way. Some people tie it different ways, but I'm just gonna teach you this way. So, take your yarn here, sort of flip it this way. So lay your yarn where it's like the tail end here, that's what this is called, is this way, and the working end is on this side. Sort of lay it out like this. Now then, picking it up in your hands, holding it like this. You take the tail end and you hold it, and you flip it onto the working end like this. Now then, with your tail end over the working end like this, take your big loop here that you've got with it twisted and go in here. Don't grab the tail end, grab this working end here and pull the working end through that big loop that you made and hold it tight. That's how you make one every time. You just pull it tight. Let's show you again one more time, the right way. Let's make it a bit shorter, because you don't really want it that big. I'm just doing that for demonstration. Usually around this size. Take the yarn, tail end side here, wraps around onto the working end. You gotta make sure you keep holding it. Now you take this little loop here that you've got, and you put it and pull through on this working end here. See, the working end part is through here, and you still got your tail end. So you could just pull through on your tail end completely, actually. And that'll do it. Or you can pull through this way, either one. As long as you get it knotted up like that, then you've got your slip knot. That's what you need to start every project, to get your hook into it like this. Because otherwise, so you'll just need it to get your hook onto it like this, and then you'll want to tighten it again. So pull either the working end or the tail end, so it's tightened around your hook. That's what you'll always need to start any project, because otherwise you can't work with the yarn. That is why you need a slip knot. Now that you know how to tie one, I'll show you one more time the correct way, quickly. Over, working end, pull on the tail or pull on the working end. Either way to get it tight, and that's it. Now let me show you how you do it the wrong way, which I've done a lot. So sometimes you'll have your yarn here like this, and you might work over the, instead of flipping the tail end over the working end, you'll flip the working end over the tail end, and then you'll go through to grab your working end again. And what you'll get is that nothing tightens at all. Again, the wrong way to do it is flipping the working end on, which is the end that's not at the tail here. Because this, just anything that you see where you can grab the yarn here, is just the tail. So if you flip the working end over the tail and then try and pull the working end through it, the working end itself, you won't ever get a slip knot. That's the incorrect way to do a slip knot. So the correct way is flip the tail end over, pull the working end through, and you can either pull on the working end like I just did here, or on the tail sort of at the same time. That's it. Now then, we've got the slip knot part done. Now on to how to do your first ever yarn over. Now, I'll just retie it then just to get started. tail end over working end, pull through. There you go. Now we got the big hook here, big loop here in the yarn. Put in my hook through it and just tighten this yarn. Pulling on the working end is what I prefer to, until it's around this. Now again, remember how to hold your yarn. Here, sometimes like this just to start. Wrap this around. Okay, now this is why I said to leave this middle finger empty to hold here and here on it. This just gives a good grip for tension control, where you can move your index finger like this, but tension's loose now, so I gotta move the yarn up. Like I said, keep it more in line with your line there on your finger there, for the tension's good. If it's too far back, it'll be too loose. So let's show you the few different grips. I'll show you my first grip, personal grip. Choose whatever grip you like to do. You can use the pencil one if you like. Any one works, or you can do the knife one. They're all the same, or this modified one that I like to do. Now, holding it in your preferred method, take the yarn, have the tension good there. Now take the hook or the yarn, whichever one I would prefer. Taking the hook, holding it in whatever way you want. Now, sort of push the hook this way into the yarn there, so this part of the hook here is touching the yarn now. So it's sort of wrapped around. You'll want to make sure that this head part catches the yarn. The very top here, this part, you want the yarn to go into. So when you're pushing the yarn in, make sure that wraps around it and catches. So now then, when you've got the yarn like that, when you push the hook in, twist the hook leftwards, not fully to this way like that degree, about that much. I'm not sure how many degrees that would be. What, like 60 degrees turned, or 45 about, I'd say. One of the two. Just turn it about that way towards your hand now. And once it's about that far turned, start pulling the hook towards this first loop we made with the slip knot. Just pull it and keeping your tension on your ring finger here upwards, pulling away so the yarn isn't too loose like this when you're pulling. You want this pulling away as you pull on the hook and pull through. Again, push into it. Get the head about 45 degrees. Make sure that head part of the hook is wrapped on into the yarn. About 45-degree turn to inwards towards your hand. Keeping the tension with your fingers there on the yarn good and tight, where you can really feel that yarn on your finger here. See how tight that is there? It's even holding the hook like you want that to be. Yeah, about that tight is how you want it to be, where you can let go of the hook and it's still attached. That's how tight you want it to be. Slowly, you don't have to go slowly, but for your first one, slowly pulling the hook towards the loops that you made. That wasn't the first slip knot. Let's pull it towards the loop on the hook until the yarn goes through that loop. And that is how you yarn over. Next, let's talk about the chain itself here. What we just did there with those first few yarn overs are called chains. These little small things right here. This first one actually, that little bump right there is what you'll always be putting the hook into to keep going, but get more into that in a few minutes here. I'll just keep going on this yarning over. Just keep doing the yarning over, 45 degrees inwards, keeping the tension and pulling the yarn through them. That's 3. 1, 2, 3 chains. That's what this is, what we're doing right now. You're just chaining the yarn upwards for your width on any sort of project. That's what the chain does. It determines the width of the project, how long it'll be. Rows determine how far up the project will be in height. So the chain, the width can only be determined once in your project, depending on how far width you go. Now again, just keep going up. Do this about 10 times, I would say, to start. I'm going to go a bit quicker. Again, into it, 45 degrees, pull through the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you go up, you always keep this next to the working part of the yarn here that you're working with, so you can keep the tension tight. You don't just hold this back here the whole time. You just move up as you go. Okay, believe that's 10. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now then, let's talk about how you count the chain and how I was just counting it. Take your yarning needle, for it's a bit easier. And let me just pull this out. Now then, on these here, you've got these little bumps in the yarn here after you pulled through from the last chain that you made, and you'll always go into this, as well as these loops here, the front and the back loop here, which you don't work into unless the project calls for it. But this is how you count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You just count those little bumps on it, because those are what you'll be working into always on the start of your projects. Because you'll always have to start with a chain to determine the width, and you'll either work, some projects will call where you work into these front loops here or the back loops of the chain stitch. But that's how you count the chain. It's pretty simple. You just count based by these bumps here. Just every single one along it, you count those, and that'll determine how many chain stitches you've got. Or you could count these, but it's a bit trickier to count that. I'd say it's easier to do the bumps. But yeah, just play with this a bit and keep going with the chains a bit. Just keep working that up. That's what I would recommend now. Before we get into the next part of the video, just get comfortable to this tension feeling and just chaining up. You don't gotta worry about anything else right now. Just keep doing this until you can get going about this speed and keeping the tension about the same. When you can move it like this and still talk while you're doing it and not even think about it, you'll be good. So yeah, that's how you do the chain stitch and how you count it. So that's all. So then, in this video I taught you how to do the slip knot, yarn over and create your first chain, and how to count it. If you like this video, comment down below and explain how I did explaining the chain stitch to you.